right, so let's finish the last slides for today, and we'll move straight into that. All right. Colleagues, the topic today before us is, of course, we're still talking about diversity management. And of course, the previous lecturer that was handling this course some years back had this slide, the general slide, touching on some critical and intricate issues around diversity, which I felt is also worthwhile sharing to reinforce our general knowledge with regards to what is happening around diversity, both within South Africa and, of course, across the sub-region and, of course, the globe. All right. Great. So, introduction with regards to diversity. You may be asked, state one diversity variable that differentiates you from the other in the class. Now you see, one diversity variable, and we have discussed so many variables. We have discussed issues of sex. We have discussed issues of color, which is of course race. We have discussed issues of height. We have discussed issues of those that are variables that differentiate you, and those are the things you can see in the organization. Those are the visible ones that we can see. So, on the state one diversity variable that differentiates you from the others in the class. Definitely, you look at yourself, your color of the skin, your height, your weight, your, of course, your gender, your age. Definitely, some colleagues are older than others, and of course, your look, your beauty. Some colleagues are more beautiful than others, and of course, your handsomeness. Some colleagues are more handsome than others. So, all these things are some of the things that bring diversity to the equation. Some colleagues are more intelligent than the others. Can you see? So state one diversity variable that differentiates you from the others in the class. You should be able to give us what you think. It's a diversity variable that distinguishes or differentiates you from other members of the class. Yeah, great. Billy Cathy. I can see you're laughing. All right. So, women in the workplace. Of course, like I told you, the colleague that was handling this course before is Professor Anita Bush, who moved to the University of Stellenbosch from Eugene. And she's one of the strong pioneers of women in the workplace in South Africa. Most of her writing, most of her research is focused on women in the workplace, the impact women are making in the workplace, and of course how to increase, of course, women participation in the workplace, and of course looking at the specific nature of women, issues around maternity leave, issues around sexual harassment, and of course issues around, of course, gender-based violence, which sometimes seems to be perpetrated more against women, and of course issues about women as workers and as well mothers, that have to take care of children. And I remember when Professor Anita Bush was with us, she's always going to fetch her daughter from school. And after that also, when she delivered her new baby, a son, she was most of the time always carry her baby to the office, So those are the responsibility of women. You cannot deny that fact, that women play sometimes multiple roles. They take care of the husband, they take care of the children, and they take care of the class. as the case may be. That is for the working women, or they take care of their workplace, And for instance, if they emerge also as leaders, they take care of the organization as a whole and people within the organization. So that is why sometimes we need to actually acknowledge women and respect them because they are good in multitasking. They function very well when it comes to multitasking. A woman can be cooking and breastfeeding a baby, and at the same time writing a journal or writing, making calculation if she's an accountant. You see, almost multiple tasks at the same time. So that is a woman for you in the workplace. So Professor Anita Bush is one of the strong authorities in that particular space. And of course, Professor Stella Nkomo also has written a lot in that space also. Professor Stella Nkomo, like I told you, was one of the top professors that was in the panel that interviewed me before my promotion from an associate professor to a full professor. She was with formerly with University of Pretoria. I'm not sure if she's still there now. She has studied in the US and has worked in the US also over the years. All right, and she's a very top professor when it comes to diversity-related topics, particularly within South Africa. All right. Great. Just what the prof was trying to say is that your study guide is important and, of course, supported by your textbook. Equal right principle. Equal right principle. I've been talking about equal right. And, of course, the principle is that all national groups shall have equal right. Now, you see, all national groups. We are speaking about equal right in the US. Now, this is also contained in African National Congress Freedom Charter of 1955. As far back as 1955, the ANC Freedom Charter have actually proclaimed this particular clause that all national groups shall have equal right. Which is their motto, their manifesto, that all national groups or groupings shall have equal rights. You see, that is according to ANC as far back as 1955. You see, and of course, preamble of the South African Constitution of 1996. He said, "We, the people of South Africa, believe that South Africa belongs to all who lives in it, united in our diversity." You see, this is also a reinforcement of unity in diversity, and of course, to put it in a more friendly way, Tata Madiba, that is Nelson Mandela, says South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white, or black or white. Everybody who lives in it. South Africa belongs to everyone who lives in it. And of course, I think that is also reinforced from also some of the perspective of South African leaders who believe that, or authorities who believe that South Africa is the cradle of humankind. If you remember the 2010 World Cup, you can hear Bishop Desmond Tutu telling the whole world, "Welcome home, welcome home. This is where you started the journey," because there is that perception that life started in South Africa by certain authority who have their own position. Although the Ethiopians also claim that life started in Ethiopia. Now, whether we like it or not, South African claim, and of course Ethiopian claim could be valid because life started in Africa, although there are traces that, of course, some of the countries that you mentioned originally in the earliest incipient period of human existence were within those regions of Ethiopia, the Horn of Africa, and of course Ethiopia had a lot of interaction later with Israel And of course, Egypt also, the Horn of Africa interacting with Egypt. And of course, there could be also life originating from the lower hemisphere. And of course, one of the strong anthropologists was also able to shed some light with regards to the bones that were excavated, which also reflected about a lady that was called, what was her name? A lady that was called Lucy, a lady that was called Lucy, whose bone was found in certain part of Africa, and that bone was actually claimed to have existed many years before the discovery of some of the human existence in other parts of Africa and, of course, the world. So all this also reinforces the perspective of Bishop Desmond Tutu when he was telling the world, welcome home, during the 2010 World Cup that was hosted in South Africa, out of passion of telling the whole world that you are welcome to South Africa. All right. So those are it. The preamble of the Constitution of South Africa in 1996 actually says that we, the people of South Africa, believe that South Africa belongs to all who lives in it, united in our diversity. And of course, if you look at the South African national item, that is also reflected, where the national item starts with Nkosisi, and later on we move into the African slogan, and later on we move into the English part of the song. That is reinforcing unity in diversity. And of course, that is also part of the meaning of that national anthem. All right. So that is, of course, emphasis reinforcing diversity. All right. And of course, that is also reflected in the South African Bill of Rights. And you see, issues of equality. That is, equality in South African context include race, gender, sex, pregnancy, marital status, ethnic or social origin, color, sexual orientation, age, disability, religion, and of course, conscience, belief, culture, language, and of course, birth. You see. So all these were also discussed in several topics that we have actually engaged with up to this moment in this our diversity class. Can you see? So equality in South Africa context include race, etc. All right. And that is also reflected in South African Bill of Rights, 9, subsection 3. South African Bill of Rights, section 9, subsection 3. All right. We progress. And of course, the Bill of Rights, section 9, with regards to equality, subsection 5, says discrimination is one or more of the ground listed in subsection 3 to be unfair unless it is established that the discrimination is fair. And of course, the term that I was forgetting when I was presenting the other slide with regards to South Africa is unfair labor practices. Yeah, that is the South African term for it. Unfair labor practices. Yeah. So it just the clause just escaped my mind when I was giving the lecture to that slide. South Africa has a law that talks about unfair labor practices in South African labor law, and of course issues around diversity. All right. So discrimination is one or more of the ground listed in subsection 3. In subsection 3, it's unfair unless it is established that the discrimination is fair. That is to say, discrimination is unfair. Like we have said, we have discussed that under the topic of affirmative action. Discrimination is unfair unless it is established by law that it is fair. So that is to say that there are some fair discrimination for us For instance, discrimination to empower the previously disadvantaged may be regarded as fair. However, there are people who perceive it as reverse discrimination, like we have also seen in the previous slide or in the previous PowerPoint presentation. So the Bill of Rights, Section 22, which is of course freedom of trade, occupation, and profession, states that every citizen has the right to choose in trade, occupation, or profession freely. The practice of trade, occupation, or profession may be regulated by law. So everybody is free. One cannot be constrained from participating in a particular occupation, trade, or profession because of his color of skin or because of the gender that he or she belongs. Can you see? So one should be able to venture into trade, occupation, and of course a profession that he or she chooses to participate in. Can you see? However, the practice of trade, occupation, and profession may be regulated also by law. For the fact that there are certain occupations that are, of course, strictly gender related, which of course an employer can prove that he has actually given this occupation to somebody based on reasonable accommodation, like we have also alluded to in our previous slides. All right. We progress. So, South African Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights, Section 31, which has to do with cultural, religious, and linguistic community. A person or persons belonging to cultural, religious, or linguistic community may not be denied the right with other members of that community to enjoy their culture, practice their religion, and use their language. Can you see? For instance, I gave an instance with regards to, of course, a Muslim person who has to actually pray 5 times a day. Within the work period, you need to go and pray at intervals and come back to work. Can you see? So these are all issues related to Bill of Rights. Now we'll come to the topic of xenophobia. We'll come to another aspect, which is, of course, which has to do with xenophobia in South Africa. Xenophobia has become an issue, a topical issue in South Africa, not just in South Africa, but of course across the globe or within the African continent. And I must admit, and I must say, that xenophobia is not only a South African phenomenon. It exists in every part of Africa. And of course, some part across the globe. Can you see? So xenophobia should not just be used to tag South Africa. Xenophobia happens everywhere. But one thing we must keep in mind with regards to xenophobia, like I told you that Africa was one before the colonial masters came. So as such, an African can move from North Africa and start descending down to East Africa and start descending down to Black Africa without even knowing where he's going, until he gets to a good place where he can farm or pasture and start life there. You see, that is why you see the music I played for you in the class once about Lucky Dube, who is now about to be immortalized in South Africa because of his contribution to diversity and, of course, the end of our apartheid through music. One of his songs where he said, nobody knows where we are coming from and nobody knows where we are going to. You see? And I also give instances of some of the blacks in India. You see? Of which is, of course, evident that some of them migrated from Africa. And in fact, the light-colored India, all of them migrated from Africa. Now you can also see that some Egyptians are light in color, like the Indians or the Arabs. Can you see? So all these are human phenomena in terms of movement. So xenophobia always comes with regards to somebody asking who was here first. So those who were there first always oppose those who are coming to join them. And you must keep in mind that with regards to the theory of human existence, human beings right from time are always searching for greener pastures, which is why human beings move from place to place. In fact, human beings are wanderers. And you see, they wander from place to place, and that wandering has not ended up to the present moment. Currently in Europe, America, and of course, particularly Britain, is now packing a lot of African doctors and nurses to work in Europe because they are having shortage of skills with regards to medical professionals. That is also part of human movement, whether you like to call it brain drain. You see. So these people that are moving, in many years to come, they become British citizens. And as such, that becomes their home. You see. So the question is, who was first to come? I see. And that who was first to come is what reinforces xenophobia, people claiming ownership that this place belongs to us. Because without the colonial masters, we wouldn't have actually laid claim to a particular country. But it was the colonial master that came and balkanized Africa into smaller parts. And people started laying claims to a particular region or a particular country. You see? So these are all issues that we have to be coming to tend to. So xenophobia is always, who was here? Who was here first? And of course, story has it that some people in Bulawayo in South Africa were, of course, related to, of course, the Zulus. Can you see? That moved as a result of fear of Chaka Zulu, who was actually chasing his cousin that offended him, and the cousin ran to that part of Zimbabwe. So these are those stories, or historical facts that we have to come to terms. And now when those part of Bulawayo visit South Africa, they may also be said to be called Kwerekweres or foreigners. Can you see? So these are all continuous issues that are debatable, and of course can reinforce our understanding. Now, of course, if you look at the Caribbeans, most of the Caribbean countries are blacks. Jamaica, Barbados, and of course, most of the Caribbean nations are blacks. Even up to some people in Cuba are black. In fact, many people in Brazil were black until Brazilians started, of course, importing whites to of course, occupy Brazil, the leadership. You see? So that is also something to tell you that human movement have been consistent. So xenophobia is all about who was here first. You see, who was here first? And I was joking with some of my students in my MBA class that you may be surprised claiming South Africa, but your father is from Nigeria. The original grandfather is from Nigeria area. Can you see? They started laughing. Or you may be claiming Nigeria, your maybe great grandfather is from Kenya and move upward as a result of farming activities or as a result of hunting activities and decide to settle in one area. Even the Yoruba race in Nigeria, they also claim that they migrated from Egypt. You see? The same thing, the Hausa race, some of them also migrated from somewhere, the Hausa Fulanis. So these are all journeys of migration and movement. And it's always about who was here first. And those who were there first in a place of opportunity tend to be hostile to those who are coming to join them. That is why you received that article from me. Those who are coming to dinner, those who are joining in terms of dinner. You go check some of the articles I sent to you. You know, look at who is coming for dinner. Lesotho, Zimbabwe, and of course some of the countries around the SADC region. That is the actual aim of that article. So, issues of xenophobia has been a critical debate in South Africa, with some supporting it, with some, of course, feeling that we are human families and we must actually treat ourselves fairly. All right. So these are all issues around xenophobia in South Africa. Name the countries on the African continent. Name the countries on the African continent. It's a question, and there are so many countries in the African continent, more than 50 something of them in the African continent. You have Egypt, you have Tunisia, you have Morocco, you have Nigeria, you have Burkina Faso, you have Ghana, you have Niger, you have Cameroon, you have Congo, Brazzaville, you have Congo DRC, you have Uganda, you have Lesotho, you have Zimbabwe, you have Namibia, you have Kenya, you have, of course, Uganda, you have Tanzania, you have so many countries in Africa, including Ethiopia that I have mentioned, and of course Eritrea, and of course Somali, and of course Sudan, and of course Tunisia, and of course Mozambique, and of course Botswana, and so many others. All right. So those are countries in Africa, and there are also diversity within and of course between these countries. Now let's talk about Nigeria. Nigeria, with regards to issues of diversity related to sexual orientation or gender orientation. Nigeria, with issue of same-sex marriage prohibition bill. Nigeria passed the same-sex marriage prohibition bill, which is where I was telling you that different countries have different views with regards to issues of same-sex. For instance, in Nigeria, if you talk about same-sex, they can actually flog you so that you abandon that idea. You see. And of course, in Nigeria, the legislatures have actually passed a bill that prohibit same-sex marriage. You see. And of course, in Britain, recently I think we have a Nigerian priest, Anglican priest, who is a gay priest for some years now. And he was actually celebrating his years of priest as a gay. You see. So these are all different dynamics from country to country and from region to region, and how they perceive it. I think I remember, of course, the former Kenya president, Kenyatta, trying to actually also advise Barack Obama that the issue of Kenya today is not issues of sex or issues of sexual orientation, but issues of how the country can actually meet up their economic challenges and other important issues. You see. When Obama was trying to encourage Africans to liberalize, to permit same-sex marriage or permit issues of gay within the African continent. And of course, there are certain African leaders who feel that it is against their moral belief as in terms of their cultural standing. That is where culture comes to play. But of course, the West also have their own case, which is, of course, where South Africa has also seems to have supported the issue that human beings have freedom of choice, that an adult has the freedom of choice. So restricting them from what is their freedom of choice that is not harmful to another person is actually also not in the best interest. And of course, we are beginning to also hear stories that some people are born like that, and they have that feeling towards their fellow genders. So all these things are things definitely we have to also respect. And of course, do more debate and of course investigation around that to see how these things actually reinforces. All right. So with regards to Nigeria, Nigeria is an oil producing country. Oil is one of their main source of income. You know, producing oil is one of their main source of income. So country profile of oil, these are areas, and of course oil is mainly found in the Niger Delta area of Nigeria, and of course spread to some certain part of Nigeria. So Nigeria produces a lot of oil, but of course the oil production also in Nigeria has also been also a kind of a cost to the country for the fact that the country has abandoned all their previous source of revenue, like farming activities, and of course, production activity, productive activities, and everybody's mind is focused on the oil and how to share the oil wealth. And and included in that is that many people are also stealing the oil wealth. There have been instances of looting and siphoning of the resources of the nation, which is why, although Nigeria may be among the top 8 oil producers in the world, the country still has a majority of people who are poor. Almost a huge number of Nigerians are terribly poor. Compared to other countries that are also oil producing, whose, of course, sole income earning is oil, like, of course, United Arab Emirates, and of course, Saudi Arabia, and of course, Oman, and of course, Kuwait, and other countries whose, of course, indices of course, quality of life is very much high above that of Nigeria. So oil has become also a kind of a cost to Nigeria because it has actually distracted people, all right? It has actually distracted people from venturing into other field of human endeavor. That's many people from venturing into other field of human endeavor that can be a source of revenue and wealth for the nation. All right, we progress. And of course, with regards to Nigerian profile, in terms of head, Nigerian profile in terms of head, if you look at the diagram there, you can see with regards to head, percentage of 1 year old with all basic vaccination. If you look at it, you can see that, of course, more than 40% in certain parts of Nigeria has children have been vaccinated, compared to many children, of course, in the northern part of Nigeria, stemming from, of course, the coloring there, and of course, what the coloring means. You see, for instance, in a place like Borno State, Yobe State, Jigawa State, only 0 to 9%, only 0 to 9% of children have actually received proper vaccination. Can you see? So that is that. That is what the graph is reflecting. The map is reflecting, and of course the color. Then we come to, of course, literacy rate in Nigeria. With regards to literacy rate. Literacy rate, of course, when it comes to literacy rate, the certain part also seems to reflect higher literacy rate. For instance, states like Imo State, Abia State, of course, Delta State, and of course, those states whose color of gray is or blue is darker reflects about from 81 to 100% literacy rate, as well as 61 to 80% literacy rate, compared to people from, of course, a place like Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, Niger, Jigawa, Castena, and of course Bauchi, where of course literacy rate is of course below 21%, 21 to 40%. You see. But states like Borno State, Yobe, and of course Kaduna, Plateau, and Taraba, and of course Nasarawa seems to reflect much more higher literacy rate compared to Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, and of course Niger, which has of course a literacy rate of from say 41 to 60% of literacy rate. All right. So this is with regards to literacy rate in terms of Nigerian literacy rate. And when you compare that to South Africa, of course, maybe some other figures may be reflected. With regards to province, for instance, you cannot compare the literacy rate in provinces like Cape Town and of course Gauteng with the literacy rate of somebody in, of course, some part of Eastern Cape, or some part of areas like some part of Limpopo, or some other part of Northern Cape, etc. Can you see? So there could be some disparities and divergence with regards to literacy rate in terms of regions, in terms of provinces, and in terms of states. All right. And this literacy rate, of course, have impact with regards to diversity, because we did mention that diversity has to also do with literate and, of course, illiterate within the demographic profile of a given organization or a given state or a given nation. All right, countries with high restriction on religion. Several countries have been listed as countries that restrict religious tolerance, or countries that tolerate other religion. So some of the countries, as at 2011, that restrict other religion, that have restriction on religion, include first and foremost, there is Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, China. China restricts any religion. China doesn't want religion at all. Indonesia, Maldives, Afghanistan, even Afghanistan wants a total Islamic state, you know. Algeria, Syria, Somalia, Burma, Eritrea, and of course Pakistan, Malaysia, Russia. Russia also tend to restrict religion. Uzbekistan, Yemen, Brunei, Vietnam, and of course Sudan. And of course, as of 2012, countries that have high restriction, high government restriction on religion still include Egypt, China, India, Iran, Saudi Arabia. You can see somehow the list in terms of priority changed in 2012. But of course, this seems to also reinforce or reflect the same countries that were in 2011. Only that in 2012, there was a change in terms of the ranking of countries that restrict religion. All right. We progress. Then, of course, key findings about women in the workplace. Key findings about women in the workplace. Let's see some of the key findings. Today, young women are starting their career better educated than their male counterpart. I have mentioned this several times in your class. For instance, the fact that we have more female in your class that are more serious than, of course, some of the male counterparts. Can you see? So today, young women are starting their career better educated. And of course, the fact that now families have started realizing that, of course, women cannot, female children cannot just be abandoned. That in fact, female children are even more connected to their parents or to their family even after marriage than even their male children. You see, so today young women are starting their career better educated than their male counterparts. So women are no more restricted to secretarial work or typewriting or all the rest. Women now can lead, and women now can handle vital positions as head of departments in organization today, because they are well educated, well informed, and well skilled. So another key finding about women in the US workforce, and of course, by implication, other countries' workforce, which includes South Africa, is that young working women today are also making more money relative to men their age than their mothers did. You see, more women are making more money. You can see women that are, of course, chartered accountants today. You see, unlike previously where they tell women go for soft skills like sociology, go for skills like caregivers, welfare, go for soft skills like just nursing and take care of people. Women are now taking even into engineering courses and becoming high income earners. Women are now becoming chartered accountants. So young women today are also making more money relative to men, their age, than their mothers and grandmothers did. Another key finding with regards to women in the workplace is that women are much more likely than men to say more change is needed to achieve greater equality in the workplace. Women are more than women to actually push their case that there is need for more change for gender equality in the workplace. Of course, because they have been the disadvantaged ones. So they will be in a better position to say how they feel it and, of course, advocate for a change. Women are women of all ages, just like men, want a secure job they enjoy, but they are less likely than men to ask for raises or aspire to top management jobs. Sometimes also women also are the ones restricting themselves to aspire. In spite of their qualification, they feel, no, I'm okay here. Taking a top management job may restrict my role as a mother or as a contributor to my family. You see. So far more women than men say being a working parent has made it more difficult to advance their career. Being a working woman, and I have mentioned the roles that women plays in family and in society, which of course affect their career. So they are more actually to complain that being a working parent has made it difficult for them to grow in their career. All right, we progress. Among parents, women are much more likely than men to experience family-related career interruption. Can you see? Of course, it could be as a result of childbirth, as a result of child getting sick, as a result of issue. Women likely than men are likely than men to experience family-related career interruption. And of course, amongst mothers and fathers who have taken a significant amount of time off from work to care for a family member, women are much more likely than men to say it hurts their career overall. It affects their career negatively overall. All right. We progress. Now, millennia in the US, marriage and parenting. Millennia in the US, let's look at that. Millennia, those who are born, of course, towards the end of 1990, and of course, entering into the new millennium. Those are, of course, classified as the millennial generation. Millennia and Generation S assess marriage and parenthood, or evaluation of marriage and parenthood. Today, 18 to 29 years old value parenthood far more than marriage. And some just want to be parents, but they don't want to marry. That is how we are seeing single parents all over. So you see, both in America and in Africa and in South Africa. And you see, today 18 to 29 years old value parenthood far more than marriage. Well, there could be a reason for that. Among 18 to 29 years old who are not currently married and have no children, 70% say they want to marry, and 74% say they want to have children. Among those who have never married and have no children, 66% want to marry, and 73% want to have children. So marriage and children is an emphasis also. So the top two qualities they have are being good mothers. 93% are good mothers. They care for their children. And being caring and compassionate, 88% says. The next is putting her family before anything else, which is 74%. More than half of young men think being a good sexual partner, 71%, and being well educated, 52%, are very important qualities for a good wife. You see, more than half of young men think being a good sexual partner, which is of course 57% of men think that way, and being well educated, 57% of men want educated women, 52% want educated women, are very important qualities for a good wife. You see, that's the perception of men. More than half of the young men think, that has covered. Providing a good income is at the bottom of the list. Just 15% of young men think it is very important for a good wife to have that quality. You see, that is part of it. You can see, of course, most of these are reflected in the diagram above, with regards to some of the percentages. Being a good parent, 42% want to be good parent, and of course, having a successful marriage, of course, 31%, and of course, that is among generation S. Now, with regards to generation Y, you can see that is, of course, with regards to millennial generation, which is 18 to 29%, 52% of them say want to be parents, and of course 30% of them want to have a successful marriage. You see. All right. We progress. Intermarriage, which is of course some of the issues that are reflected in our diversity discourse. When we say a white man marrying a black woman, or a black man marrying a white woman, and of course in America and of course in Europe, although we have not seen much of those tendencies in South Africa, it's a little bit scanty in South Africa. The more than 1 in 6 new marriages these days, 15%, take place between people from different race or ethnic grouping. You see, I don't know, of course, whether it will take years before we'll begin to notice very much such phenomena in South Africa. There still is a kind of stereotypical divide between the whites and the black in South Africa. That is very obvious. You see. And it could be as a result of the apartheid system, which of course affected the psychology of people so much, creating a kind of mindset and perception of superiority and inferiority. But of course, in many other parts of the world, that tendency have changed. And we are being seen intermarriage between blacks, white, colored, India, and of course, all the rest. Of course, however, there are still so many challenges related to issues around diverse marriage. We can, of course, see the case of the powerful golfer Tiger Woods with the wife who is a white, and of course the case of course the one of the best American baseball, a black guy who is married to a white, and of course some rumors that later emerged that he killed the wife with the boyfriend, and he was able to the court find him not guilty of the charges, but later, of course, also penalize him for some other issues related to that particular case. So most of those phenomena, there seems to be instances where some of those relationship failed as a result of certain cultural issues, certain cultural background, certain perspective, divergent views, divergent perspectives. So there may be good things to practice, but also it has its own intricacies. You see. So more than 1 in 6 new marriages these days, 15% take place between people from different race or ethnic groups. Rise of single fathers. Rise of single fathers. We are now beginning to see a new dimension with regards to rising trend in single father. The number of single father household has increased about 9 times since 1960, from less than 300,000 to more than 2.6 million in 2011. Single fathers are more likely than single mothers to be living with a cohabiting partner, 40% versus 16%. Single fathers on average have higher income than single mothers and are far less likely to be living at or below the poverty line, 24% versus 43%. 24% of single fathers versus 43% of single mothers. And of course, single fathers are also somewhat less educated than single mothers, older, and of course more likely to be white. And of course, about 1/5, that is 19% of single dads, lack a high school diploma, while just 10% married fathers lack one. Almost 1/4, 24% of single fathers' households are living at or below the poverty line, compared to just 8% of married father households and 43% of single mother households. So these are just statistics, and of course, important statistics to reflect on. The rise of single fathers. We're still talking about the number of single father households has, okay, I think my slide did not move. Moving now. Okay. Sandwich generation. Sandwich generation. Sandwich, that is, of course, middle-aged adult sandwich between aging parents and kids. Can you see? The sandwich between middle-aged adults. Sandwich between aging parents. They have aging parents to look for after, and of course, they have kids to look after. They are referred to as sandwich aging parent, sandwich generation, middle adult sandwich. So that is referred to as sandwich generation. Nearly half, 47% of adults in their 40s and 50s have parents aged 65 or older. Parents whose children are younger than 18 are less likely than those who have child age 18 or older to say that it is a parent responsibility to provide financial support to a grown child who needs it. 46% versus 56%. So these are just statistics also. Stereotype threat. Stereotype. And you will come across stereotype in many places in your textbook. And of course, we have also touched on different aspects of stereotype. You see, stereotype threat as well. Where is your social group? Where in your social group have you experienced stereotype? You see, maybe you belong to a social group. Where have you experienced stereotype? Why does stereotype try to reduce short-term performance? Why does it reduce short-term performance in an organization? This is another issue. Differences is not the same as inequality. Differences is not the same. For the fact that people are different does not mean that it's a reflection of inequality. For instance, I spoke the issue of white and black. The fact that they are different does not mean one is superior and the other is inferior. Give example where this statement may be true, and which is what I have actually alluded to. And of all which is why, of course, Martin Luther King says that I want to live in a country where I will not be judged by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character, which is the fact that there are some black that are more intelligent than whites, and there are some black that are more refined and more disciplined and more hygienic, and of course, more accommodating than whites. And of course, there are, of course, also some whites that are very much more educated, more cordial, more friendly, and more hospitable than blacks also. Can you see? So differences is not about inequality. Can you see? Differences is not about inequality. So it's a statement. Research support, life role of South Africa. Research, these are research projects. Of course, you have already executed your research project. It's just part of what Professor Anita Bush included in her slides in terms of the information related to students. So colleagues, with this, we'll come to the end of this particular slide. Is that clear? Any question? Any question? Great. I have already uploaded this slide on your Blackboard also. You can always also download it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm happy, and of course, other colleagues. Okay, colleagues, this moment we focus on our debate, which will give you your mark in terms of class debate, because our next class will be our last class. And of course, I believe to a great extent, we have covered everything related to your learner guide. And of course, like I said, read the remaining part of the chapters of your recommended textbook. And of course, the questions that will be coming in your examination will be things that we have covered in class. Like I mentioned to you, if you are in any of my previous class, I don't bring out questions that we have not discussed in the class or that we have not covered. Can you see? So, and for the fact that it's also a kind of online kind of exam, I don't also set a question that only focuses on textbook. I set a question that I want to also see how you can also respond to that question, adding value, and of course, giving your own perspective related to that particular phenomenon. For instance, a question can be asked whether female leadership is better than male leadership. And of course, you, based on your perspective, should be able to catalog your argument, bulleting each aspect of your argument and discussing it to support your motion, whether a woman leader is better than a male leader. You see? So those are part of the question that you'll be encountering, in terms of the examination question that you'll be receiving any moment. So know that if you do well, if you write well, I don't withhold people's mark. I give you your mark as generously as I can. You see. But if you also perform very woefully, I will also give you a mark based on your performance. You see. I will give those who perform better, generous mark, and those who fail to perform, I will also be stingy with my marking. Is that clear, colleagues? Fantastic, fantastic. All right. Okay, great. All right, great. Vilakazi. Great. Okay, colleagues, that is that. We will now start with our debate. All right. And just give me a few minutes to print the list of the class so that once we start, we know that we have started with regards to the debate. I will be recording your mark based on your contribution to the debate. All right. So this is an individual debate. And certainly everybody have to contribute. You don't have to hide. This time around, everybody have to contribute to the debate. All right, so let me print the document, the class list for debate, and also I will also collate my class participation. Then we know that we already have 30 marks for the semester. I'm waiting for your final, waiting for the mark of the current assignment you're doing, and of course your final examination marks. All right, let me print first the class list. All right. Right. So in your class list, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, we have about 22 people in your class list, but I can see we have 13 people in the class. I'm not sure, maybe other candidates be registered or they did not make it to the class. So, well, we'll have to progress. All right, great. Okay, colleagues, I have your list. I just want to find out those in the class today. Baloyi, are you in the class? Baloyi, Baloyi, are you in the class? Baloyi, Baloyi is not in this class, so I back him as a candidate who is not a member of this class. Bovan, are you in the class?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. I'll mark you as present. Frenchman, are you in the class? Frenchman, are you in this class? Okay, I'm marking as absent for the class. Slashayo, are you in the class? Slashayo, Mr. Slashayo, are you in the class? Okay, I'm marking as absent for today. Karambo, are you in the class? Karambo,
Sir,
are you in the class?
oh, sorry, sir. Is it Koroba?
Okay, it's K-A, Karambo.
No, it's not me.
Okay, absent. Kekana, are you in the class? Kekana, are you in the class? Kekana, okay, I'm marking as absent. Okay, Koraba,
Present, sir. Present.
Okay, I'm marking present in the class. Lapota,
Present, sir.
Lapota,
Present.
I'm marking as present in the class. Bless you. Letsima, are you here? Letsima, I mark you as absent. Mabocha, are you in the class? Mabocha, are you in the class? Okay, I mark you as absent. Mbalua, are you in the class? Mbalua, are you in the class? Mbalua, can you respond, please? Mbalua, are you in the class? Mbalua, are you in the class? Mama Bolo, are you in the class? Mama Bolo.
Present.
Okay, Mama Bolo is here. Mbalua is not in the class, so I will mark it absent. Mbulewa is not there, so I mark as absent. Nicole, you are there? Nicole. MC Call, are you with us? Are you in the class? I know I was seeing her. I know I was seeing your name in the class.
She's here, sir.
Frenchman, are you here? Frenchman, are you here? I want to hear your voice.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that Frenchman?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I had actually marked you as absent.
Sorry, sir.
Correct.
I
You
lost
did not
connection.
answer.
I don't know if you called my name.
Okay, let me correct that. All right. There's another person. Miko, are you here? Or Miko, are you here with us? Can you respond, please? Tarabua? Okay, you are here. Okay, I don't think Nicole is in this class because I'm checking now the list of people in the class. But I'm double confirming. Okay, Nicole is absent. Lambo, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Lambo, okay. Good, I can see you are in the list. Nguni, are you here? Nguni is not here, absent. Mohapi, are you here? Mohapi.
I'm here, sir.
Fantastic. Present. Novo, are you here? Novo, okay. Absent. Peterson, are you here? Peterson. Miss Peterson, are you with us? Peterson?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. And of course, Reynolds. Reynolds, are you here?
Yes.
Fantastic. Reba, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Sitole, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Bilikati, are you still here?
Yes, I am, sir.
Fantastic. All right. So we have Letsema joined. Okay. Letsema. We have marked you absent. Are you here? Letsema, are you here?
Hi,
Letsema,
sir.
are you here?
Sir, I think Hi, sir. Latima was here. Latima was here.
Yeah, can I hear your voice, Letsema? Letsema, can I hear your voice? Because our debate today has to do with voice. You don't have an excuse that you cannot. Are you here, Letsema? Letsema N.
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic.
Letsema N, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Kakana is not here. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Gabareba. Okay. Is there? Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 students that are present, but I'm seeing 14 attendees. Let me call you. If you didn't hear your name, just notify me immediately. Bovan is here.
Sir, it's including you.
Yeah, it's 14 including you.
Oh, yeah. That is true. You are correct. Okay, I've seen that. Great. Thank you very much for briefing me on that. Okay, colleagues, we have to start our conversation today, starting with the first candidate. Once you give your response, once you're done with your response, you can leave the class. Please, once you present your response, you are free to leave the class. Now, the first question there is, of course, to Bovan. Bovan, you are the first to answer the question there. Women are better leaders than men. Do you agree or not? Elaborate your stance. Defend your position. Bovan, over to you. Want to hear your voice?
Okay, can you please repeat the question?
Women are better leaders than men. Do you agree with this or not? You either agree with the statement or not. And if you agree, give us your points why you think women are better than men. If you disagree, give us your point why you think men are better than women in leadership. So women are better leaders than men. Do you agree or not? Elaborate your stance.
Okay, yes, I
Don't
do
you?
agree. Hello?
Okay. Continue.
Yes, I do agree because women have the ability to balance skills professionally. They have personal leadership skills. It's easier to approach a woman with a personal request or like a sensitive question that they can,
Okay.
kind of adapt to. I think there's even in universities there's more degrees held by women, in my opinion. um
Mhm.
Women are better leaders because they have developed soft skills which are necessary for effective leadership, and traits that are like empathy, communication, and listening are qualities that serve women well when in management positions. So I do think women leaders are better than men.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. You can leave the class now, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Then, is there any other colleagues that has a contrary view to it? You can take over the stage and tell us your name. Is there any other colleague that have a contrary perspective to what Bovan have already said? Tell us your name and take over the stage. It's not about the listing in the class now. Is there any other person, colleague, that have a contrary view to what Bovan has mentioned?
Hi, sir.
Yeah, Riba. Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yes, I have a
Okay.
contrary view to the before the a contrary view to the speaker before.
Okay. Tell us your view.
Sorry, I just want to move because there's a bit of noise in my background. So for me, sir, I believe that women are not better leaders than men. And the first one
Okay.
would be that women are quite emotional in how they respond to situations and they do not deal with the business at hand. With men, it's
Okay.
been proven from way back as leading in terms of kings have always been our leaders. Politicians, presidents, it's just been a precedence that men do the job way better. And the reason why I also don't agree that women could be leaders is that women come also with a lot of delays. It's not a bad thing, but things like pregnancy or having to deal with kids or having to leave work because of certain situations, that leads to business having delays and costs and so forth. And the biggest reason why I believe that women are not better leaders than men is that women are quite personal. You know, they take things to heart. They do not put their feelings aside to deal with the situation. And through that, a lot of people that actually have women as leaders find that they always have bickering or constant fighting instead of just having the business at hand, getting the job done, not making it personal, and ensuring that it's the business first and not how you feel as a person. So women cannot separate business and their feelings separately.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. You have any other thing to say? Rabia, you have any other thing to say? You want to add more thing or you are done?
I'm done, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. You can leave the class. All right. Now the next question goes to, of course, Frenchman. Frenchman, the next question goes to you. We have discussed a lot with regards to leader exchange member theory. What do you understand first and foremost with regards to leader member exchange theory? I just want to see whether you have any perspective around that. Frenchman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the concept of leader member exchange theory.
So I think with the leader member exchange theory is when each leader has a unique relationship with each individual. So they would have, so for example, if you have a strong team and strong personalities in your team, you can maybe have like the way you use or utilize each member with their attitudes and with their skills in that specific way. So if one person has maybe they are assertive, you can put them in one role, and if one person is shy, you can maybe put them in a role that is more suited to their personality. So it's more a unique relationship, and the quality of these exchanges within an organization can obviously influence their work ethic and how they produce and how efficient they are in their work.
Okay. I'm just giving you the mark for explaining a little bit of it, but you're not actually hitting it very strongly where you get a point more. But you seems to be having an idea with regards to the phenomena. The phenomena is actually, is there any other colleague who can share light in terms of the phenomena of leader-member exchange in organization or in society? Is there any other person who want to share a light? This is a free point waiting for any person that want to share a light into that before I can explain it if nobody in the class is adding value to that. Yeah. Is there anybody who want to add value to that concept? It's a free mark for that person. Leader member exchange theory.
Can I say something? I'm not too sure though.
Okay, say something. Is that
So,
Peterson?
yes. So with the
Okay.
whole leader member exchange theory, would it be that it also assists in examining, like when it comes to examining the relationship between the management as well as the employees? So when this happens, it's obviously gives you a chance to evaluate the effectiveness of the relationship between the management in itself as well as like the employees, and obviously furthermore it can assist in maybe determining how they actually like influence the productivity in an organization as well as like grow when it comes to each of the employees in the organization.
Okay. Thanks for offering your insight, but still, he seems to still be talking more of what Frenchman was alluding to. Rena, you want to try? Rena, you want to try?
Hi, sir. Yes. I think that the leader exchange theory, it's just basically the relationship between the leader and its followers. And it works hand in hand with mutual respect for one another, and as well as just the quality of maintaining the relationships. I think that's what the theory is all about.
Okay, you having an idea, but not really close to hitting the nails on the head. Any other person with a perspective on that? Okay, I think I've taught you guys leadership, and of course, the phenomena is self-explanatory. Leader-member exchange theory has to do with a leader creating an in-group and out-group. And of course, those in the in-group are more closer to the leader. Mama Balo, I have already said explaining it, so you can take your hand down. So those in the in-group excel more than those in the out-group. And also, I gave you instances of an example, which is, of course, the apartheid system in South Africa, where during the apartheid period, some were considered as favored people, the in-group, and of course, the out-group. And that is also radiating in terms of previously disadvantaged and, of course, previously advantaged individuals. Can you see? So leaders create in-group and out-group, and those in the in-group perform better in terms of production, perform more closer to the leader. The leader treat them with care. There is a kind of informal relationship between them and the leader. They can have more conversation with the leader, unlike the out group, whose relationship are more formal. And of course, they can have informal conversation with the leader. They are treated differently from those the leaders consider as his or her in-group. Can you see? So that is the phenomena of leader-member exchange theory, where within a society or within an organization, leaders create those they consider as in-group. During the apartheid period, the whites were the in-group of the apartheid government. And of course, the blacks were the out-group. Can you see? Now, the question to you following with that, Frenchman, do you think this phenomena of creation of an in-group and out-group will ever end in South Africa? Because in South African organization, we still continue to see leaders perpetrating these tendencies, where if a white person is a manager, he tends to bring more white people closer to him in terms of relationship and in terms of course, getting issues of promotion and of course regarding issues of benefit. And of course, in terms of how free they can identify with it. And of course, when a black person is also a leader, he seems to also build his own clique. Do you think this phenomenon will ever end in South Africa? The question is to Frenchman.
I personally don't think it would end. As in South Africa, I feel like nepotism plays a big role when it comes to leader-member exchange. In a way, it does have its advantages, as it ensures in-group members are deserving of the benefits they receive and it gives out group members the chance to earn recognition. So I feel like in the out group, they would always feel like they need to prove themselves to the leader, whereas in the in group, they feel like they already have that. And it isn't fair, but I really don't think it would end. And I mean, it boils down to the fact where they would just have each other's back, and that's how it would be and how it ends.
Okay, thank you very much. And let me ask, thank you, of course, Freshman, you can leave the class. Let me ask now a question to Goraba. Goraba, how do you think we can end? I remember Freshman mentioned that it may be difficult to end, but how do you think we can put an end to this phenomenon from your own perspective? I'm asking Goraba. Yeah.
Okay.
Goraba. Yeah.
So I personally feel that there should be acts that are put in place. Like, for instance, today we're looking at the different types of discrimination, right? And listening to the leader and member exchange theory, it relates to specifically the in-group and out-groups. It relates to the disparate treatment. And I'd say if we have more acts in place, because honestly, in as much as I'm expected to oppose what Fransman had explained, I do believe that it will be very tricky for us as a country, not only as a country, but for the whole world to get out of the whole slavery mentality, the whole white supremacy. However, if we were to have more initiatives in place to try and help alleviate such treatment, but it's going to take a long time, to be very honest. It will take a very long time for us to get to that point.
Is it? Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Karaba. You can leave the class. I'm satisfied with your response. Okay, thank you very much, Karaba. And of course, Lapota. Lapota, are you here? Mr.
Yes, sir.
Lapota.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Why did they call the name Mr. Lapota? Oh, it's
No,
MR. It's
yes,
MR
sir, it's the
Lapota.
initials.
Okay, I'm seeing on the desk MR Lapota. So I thought it was Mr. Lapota. Okay, good.
No, sir.
Okay. Uh, Lapota, I just want to ask one question. 28 years has passed since the promulgation of affirmative action law in South Africa. Do you think there should be a sunset clause to affirmative action after 28 years? I just need your perspective.
Yes, sir, because I think there should be a clause for affirmative action because
No,
affirmative.
I meant a sunset clause, not just a
What
clause.
what
A
a sunset
sunset, a sunset clause.
what a sunset clause, sir?
Think about it very well and tell me what it means. And if you don't have an idea, ask me. Okay, Mama Bello, you want a sunset
So
clause means? You are free to say
something
now.
makes reference to the fact that after a fixed time period, the law will cease to exist.
Thank you very much, Mama Bello. You got some mark for that. Okay. So you heard what she said, Lepota.
I heard her, sir, but I don't really
Okay.
understand.
No, she has explained to it. Mama Polo, please, can you explain more again? Just repeat what you said.
So basically what it means is that obviously at a specific point, the law becomes effective, right? So the sunset clause means after a specific time period, maybe if we say 20 years, the law will no longer exist. That's what the sunset clause means. So it will automatically be terminated after a certain point.
Did you get that, Lepota?
Yes, sir, I got that. The sunset clause means that the law after a certain period of time will not exist.
Exist again. So do you think there should be a time when affirmative action should not exist again in South Africa? That is the question.
No,
And
sir,
at honors level, we try to ask you a question that you have to think, and of course, as to your knowledge, when they say something should have a sunset. Sunrise, sunset. Sunrise is the beginning of the sun, sunset is the end of the sun, when the sun is going to sleep. Are you with me? So
yes, sir, I'm with
is,
you.
yeah. So do you think there should be a sunset clause after 28 years on affirmative action in South Africa?
No, sir, I don't think there should be a sunset clause for affirmative action because affirmative action sets the procedures to eliminate unlawful discrimination. And as we have seen in this country, there is still unlawful discrimination against people within the organizations. So because of affirmative action, they prevent such discrimination, whether they are discriminating against race, age, or sex.
Okay, great. Is that all?
Yes, sir, I think. And also because affirmative action creates job opportunities for the workforce, because if you are qualified, meaning that you may get the job that you are qualified for and not be discriminated against.
Okay. Thank you very much. You can leave the class. Now, is there anybody with a different view from what Lepota have said with regards to sunset clause? Is there anybody with a different perspective in the class? All right. Okay. Rena, you're welcome.
Hi,
to
sir.
give the perspective.
I think that
Great.
it should be reevaluated, just to also be in line with what current societal issues that we are facing. So I think it should be reevaluated after 28 years.
Okay. Give your reasons.
Like I said, we are compared to 28 years ago, our societal issues have changed. We are different. We are facing different inequalities in the work space today, as like today's work. Like back then, we were dealing with men that is in charge. Now we have women leaders. So there is still inequalities that we are facing, and it needs to be addressed in terms of the affirmative action or the Employment Equity Act that addresses affirmative action.
Yeah, but I thought you said there should be a sunset clause, and now again you are telling me that there should be a law. So meaning there should. You are also saying what Lepota is saying, that there should not be a sunset clause. Renas, I need more clarity. I need more clarity with your response. Renas, are you still there? Renas, are you still there? On your mic, please. Okay, we are still waiting for you to clarify. When your mic is ready, let us know. All right, we'll progress. The next person there is, of course, yeah, when it is ready, I just need some clarity to conclude your marks.
Sir?
Then, yes, okay.
I think from my
Renas,
understanding, what she's trying to say is that maybe the sunset clause shouldn't be in effect, but the laws that exist should be reassessed in order to suit the current climate. So basically, how inequality is now is a little different to the past, right? Where
so
it was a.
So do you say we should abolish the law related to affirmative action and, of course, employment equity at this current moment in South Africa?
I don't think
You
it should
said
be
no.
abolished because gaps in inequality are still far too wide for us to want to abolish them. However, I think she's then arguing that we just need to revise them because inequality looks a little different in the current time.
No, but what I heard from Lepota is that affirmative action should continue, because we are talking about the sunset clause, you know, and you seem to be reinforcing what she has said.
Yeah, so Reyners was saying, yes, it should continue, but it needs to be revised.
Okay, what is your own position? Must it continue or should be revised from your
I believe that it
perspective?
needs to continue just until we can bridge the gap in inequality. I think the gaps are still far too wide for us to abolish laws such as affirmative action. I think in the workplace, we currently, when you examine the top management, there's still a high percentage of men occupying those seats. Should you then want to abolish the law at a specific point, organizations will only be doing affirmative action as a tick box exercise just until we get to the point where the law doesn't exist anymore and they can go back to how organizations were previously.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. You can leave the class. And of course, we'll come to Lasima. Lasima, are you there? Lasima, are you there? Let's see, man. Are you with us? Let's see, man, not in the class. Okay, let's see, man, it's not there. So we'll move to the next person there. And of course, Mama Bolo, are you still there? Mama Bolo.
I'm still here.
Yeah, okay, Mama Bolo. I just want you to give your views with this statement that men are better than women in mathematics. Are you sure of that? Do you believe that? Elaborate.
I do not believe that. I believe that competency in skills such as math is something that you can build. To then say it is innately in men is not fair. I believe these are competencies that you can develop even in women. These are things that take practice over time and can be bettered if you actually put your mind to it. Saying men are better at maths than women is a completely unfair statement.
Okay. I'm still listening. Are you done?
I think this also stems from the belief that men have been known to be more intelligent than women, which is why someone would then attach the competency of math to men. Also in occupations such as engineering and sciences, generally those are fields that were known to be dominated by men. I don't think this is a reflection of what women are able to do, but a reflection of the access to opportunities to actually study and pursue qualifications in those specific fields. So I think what we need to do is be able to give women more opportunities to STEM-related fields, which includes mathematics. Then we can see a difference in their ability in comparison to men.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your response to this. Is there anybody with a contrary view to Mama Bolo's view? Is there anybody with a contrary view? Because Mama Bolo is of the view that it's a false statement that men are better than women in mathematics. Is there anybody who thinks that this statement is true, that men are better than women in mathematics? Any person? All right. Okay, nobody have responded to that. Okay, now I move to Lambo. Now, South Africa has been witnessing issues of gender-based violence in recent times, and it's becoming so rampant. You know, how do we address the issue of gender-based violence in South Africa? How do we address it?
Oh, hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, is that in Lambo?
Yes, that's Lambo.
Yeah. How do we address it in South Africa?
How do we address the issue of gender-based violence in South Africa?
Yes.
I think that it's really important to have more conversations about it because sparking conversation about something brings it more light and more power into getting more solutions done and people sort of being aware of it and knowing the whether how to go about reporting it and everything. But I also feel like just talking about it is not enough. Therefore, I feel it's important as a country to also deploy our police into solving this issue because essentially when we are talking about it and people are reporting instances of gender-based violence, they feel like they're not heard enough, especially when it comes to our police services. So I think that it's important to spark up more conversations about it. Social media plays a very vital role in doing so, but also that should also encourage our police per se, that people, when they report these instances, they are actually taken serious, even if it's males, because we have instances where males also feel like they experience gender-based violence, but they can't go to the police because of how they were going to perceive them, or where they won't take them serious also. So encouraging our justice system is something that I feel like is very important, but also at the same time, we should speak about it more, have more conversations about it, and write more about it, and make people aware of it. Awareness is very essential in matters that are related to social issues and socio-economic basically problems.
Great, great, great. Peterson, do you have any perspective around that?
I just want to add something. I think just apart from focusing on the males and females, I think the young generation, the next generation, should also be educated about gender-based violence, because it's better that they learn from now. It's not only about experiencing gender-based violence from like a specific age. This can happen from like as young as like 5, 6, 7 years old. So I think it's better that examples are set for the younger generation, so that they are able to shape the way they think about gender, and then they are able to obviously respect that, and then especially like when human rights comes into play, so that we should be teaching the next generation about human rights, respecting different genders and things like that. And I think that in addition to that, I think it's very important that call for responses and services for purpose, like all the shelters that are held, many areas, not just in like countries, but in many areas like where we live, they are like services for the survivals. And then like shelters are available, there's hotlines, counseling is available for like gender-based violence survivors and things like that. And I've recently have been in contact with someone that is taken part in a pageant, and they basically have to promote, not promote, I wouldn't say promote, but like talk more about gender-based violence. And this lady, she has been telling me her experiences, how she has to go from like school to school to actually educate individuals from like a young age. So it doesn't only happen at a specific age, but creating awareness right through from like younger ages right up.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for adding that value. And of course, on the basis of that, Lambo and of course Peterson can leave the class. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. And of course, it's now time for Mohapi. Mohapi, are you still there?
I'm still
Mohapi.
here, sir.
Fantastic, fantastic. We have spoken about the phenomena of Quimby syndrome, which have, of course, affected the mentorship of female gender in the workplace. Have you ever noticed this phenomenon of Quimby syndrome in your workplace or in your society? I just want to get your view. Quimby syndrome.
Sorry, sir, can you repeat that? I missed it. There's a network problem where I stay.
The Quimby syndrome. Did you remember when I spoke
Oh,
about
the
it?
Quimby, yeah, yes, sir, I
The
remember.
Quimby syndrome. Yeah. I'm asking, have you experienced such in your workplace or of course in your society with regards to Quimby syndrome, a situation where a woman arose or a woman is promoted to leadership position and not encouraging other women to aspire towards a leadership position? Have you seen it? Have you perceived it in any establishment or in your society or in your workplace?
Yes, but it was a friend of mine.
Okay.
She was applying for a particular job, and the other person the person who had got the job was more, they had the same credentials, but the other person got the job because she was more beautiful and dressed in a particular way, in a provocative way. So it does happen that
No,
you
but
get.
Queen syndrome has to do with a woman that is a kind of stopping other women from aspiring and getting to a higher. Yeah, this has to
Okay.
be not a man.
And
It's only a man that a woman can wear provocative attire, and of course, a weak man may be carried away under such kind of interview environment. But this is not the issue of a woman hindering other women from climbing the ladder after she has succeeded in climbing the ladder. That was what I explained with regards to Quimby syndrome. So have you
okay,
experienced such in your
I've never
organization?
experienced it. I
Have you
haven't.
experienced that?
Sorry? Hello?
Have you seen other of your colleagues who experienced such or friends who made mention of that, of a woman rising in key position in organization and of course hindering other women from rising?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. Now, how do we address this phenomena if it
If it
it
was to ever
arises?
happen,
Yeah. How do we address it?
I think firstly
How do we
is
handle it?
to talk to the person that is being a queen bee and just letting them, like, just maybe asking them to tone down their behavior. Yes, yeah.
How do you tell your superior
Sorry?
or your boss? How do you go about the conversation to tell your superior, mind you, the woman is your superior, to tune down her behavior? What will be the
Uh,
approach?
I I I really have no idea, sir. I don't know.
Okay, what do you understand by the term glass ceiling in organization? Glass ceiling.
Sorry?
Glass ceiling in organization. Glass ceiling. Were you in the class today?
I was sorry.
Did you hear about glass ceiling when I was explaining? Glass ceiling.
Yes, sir. It's just that I'm a bit nervous. I'm sorry.
Okay, just be bold and beautiful, like I said.
It is an invincible barrier that prevents certain individuals from being promoted to managerial or positions in industry.
Who are those
It
individuals? Who are mentioned
it's
specifically?
usually the women, the minorities, the disabled
Okay. And I
that
did
are trying
mention
to
that,
move to higher roles.
yeah, and I did mention that with regards to South Africa, it will not be a case of, because
Sorry?
you have defined it from Western context, how Americans have defined it. But with regards to America, with regards to South Africa, what would that be?
It would be the age. I think it would be the age, and I mean, sorry, the the race and the fact that women are trying to move into higher roles in a male dominated.
Okay.
Sir,
Okay, thank you very much. You can leave the
thank you,
class.
sir.
Okay, then I'll move to you, Sitol. Sitol, how are you? Sitol, how are you? Sitole, I'm still waiting for you. Are you still there? Sitole is not in the class. Okay, I move to another person. Sitole, you are not in the class? Sitole. Sitole is not in the class. So I move to Volakati. Volakati, are you still there?
Yes,
Volakati,
yes, I'm still in the class.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yes. Now, I will go back to some of the questions that we have addressed, but of course, I just inequality in society, and of course, in South African society is a diversity challenge because we have mentioned about the rich and the poor, the affluents, when it comes to issues of diversity. And South Africa has been recognized as one of the most unequal society in the world. Now, how do we address issues of inequality in South Africa? Vilikati.
Yes, sir. Issues such as inequality, especially not just in organizations, but in the country as a whole, causes some sort of division between people of different ethnicities and even races, even among Black people. Like there's tribalism among different races, among different cultures. Sorry. So I think what we need to do, we need to support the notion that we need to present ourselves as the rainbow nation that South Africa is broadcasted as. And I think we need to move away from apartheid and acknowledge that, yes, it has happened and we come from a system of oppression, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to still uphold those notions or still uphold division and segregation amongst each other, because we need to live in harmony and we need to be able to cooperate.
Yeah, with regards to inequality, you seem to still be talking about apartheid, but don't forget that for the past 28 years, the Blacks were in leadership, and this inequality seems to be expanding. So address it from that context. How do you address inequality, not with regards to racial inequality? We are talking about now general inequality, which has to do with poverty and affluence in society.
I think that relates back to corruption, because many leaders in positions, in places of higher positions that hold the power and the resources that the country needs, are either misusing these resources, taking them for themselves, and they do not go back to the communities that they were fighting for, or rather they were protesting for, that they want to bring change. And when they were elected to come and bring change, and they were put in these positions to bring change to this country, then they now resort to issues, things like bribery, nepotism, and corruption, where people, even tenders, there are specific tenders that they do not reach the people that they need to reach. To people give tenders to their friends in the industries or the sectors that they're allocated from. Money vanishes in the government repositories. So I think it's also the issue of accountability. Leaders, we need to hold our leaders accountable, because as the people, as the public, we do have that power to take them out of those positions that they hold. So I think we need to look at that, and we need to dismantle corruption and the nepotism and the bribery that goes on in this country, so that resources can be allocated to the places that they need to be allocated to, and issues like poverty can be reduced, so that people can live sustainable lives, and they can be able to provide for themselves. Issues such as basic needs, I mean, sanitary towels. Some children do not have those because of the misused resources that our our government misuses. So I think we need to hold our leaders accountable, therefore corruption can be lessened.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will conclude the class. All right. Is Sitole still there? Sitole, I will close the class if I didn't hear your voice. Sitole, so you are the only person left. Is there any other person that have not responded to any question? Sitole. Sitole, I'm not hearing your voice. Sitole, no mark will be recorded for you for this participation and debate or discourse. Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for your participation in this very debate. You will be getting your marks related to this discourse in this class. Have a lovely weekend and keep well. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Okay.